Gather round, girlies, because we are about to drop some truth bombs in the world of business. You do not need to work more hours to make more money. It's 2025, hustle culture is not it, and we are here to build freedom-based businesses. In today's video, I am going to be teaching you the 3-part freedom framework. We are going to finish 2025 strong, and we are going to use this as the foundation to build a 6-figure income that doesn't sacrifice our sanity. Welcome to the Dishing Up Digital podcast, where the dress code is sweatpants and the business model is freedom first. I'm your host, Ellen, and I quit my 9-to-5 job because it was sucking the soul out of me, and I figured out the Wi-Fi was better at home anyway. And now I am a proud 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. grind girly, building a business that feels good, pays well, and leaves room for a glass of midday rosé. Around here, we are not chasing the hustle. We're building freedom-first businesses that make an impact on the world without sacrificing our sanity. Whether you're a coach, creator, service provider, or CEO in the making, this podcast is your permission slip to do business your way. With strategy that slaps, mindset that moves, and the vibes that feel like a voice note from your biz bestie, this is Dishing Up Digital, baby. The wine is optional, but revenue isn't. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. It's been a hot minute. It has been a hot minute, but we have returned with a brand new season, a brand new look, a fresh new vibe on the cover image, a fresh new intro. We're also on YouTube, and I keep saying we like it's a whole team. It's just me again. Why am I like this? Some of you have noticed that I stopped uploading on the podcast for a little bit. Thank you for all the DMs telling me to, or maybe not even telling, demanding me politely to start uploading again. And the reason I took a little bit of a pause was I had this desire to realign the podcast. I've had this podcast for 3 years now, and it's documented so much of my journey of building my business, building my agency, launching a studio, building up my courses, like all of the beautiful different components and revenue streams that I have as a creator and a coach. But 2025 has been like entering a new era for me. There's a lot of growth happening. There's a lot of movement and shift and things happening behind the scenes. And I felt like this podcast needed a little bit of a realignment to support that growth. And a big part of it is what I want to unpack in today's episode. And that is letting go of the misbelief that we have to work harder in order to make more money. If you are on the journey to 6 figures, whether you're starting at day dot and you've got no clients at the moment, or maybe you have existing clients, but you're looking to scale and increase your income, I want this video to walk you through some of the missteps that I've taken and just like help you like fast forward and skip over all of the things that I wish I hadn't done in my journey. Now, let's be honest. I came from the world of 9-to-5, like working in a corporate job, like many of you listening, I'm sure. And I realized then and there that working harder didn't necessarily guarantee me a pay rise. It didn't guarantee me more money or a bigger salary. And at that point, I realized, maybe I'll start my own business, because if I'm working this hard for someone else, why don't I work this hard and build something that's 100% my own? And here we are today. But that kind of attitude set me up for failure in a small way. In a small way. I don't want to say failure because, we survived. But I always had the mindset that I had to work really hard and put on my busy badge of honor to, number one, justify the money that I made. Like, I couldn't possibly make a 6-figure salary and like not work a 60-hour week. Like, that just didn't make sense to me. But throughout the last 5 years, one thing that I've really come to realize that there's really only 3 things that you need to focus on if you want to make more money. I love running my own business because there is limitless opportunities, like endless opportunities. There's so many different pathways. The sky truly is the limit. I can scale my business in so many different ways, and that's exciting. That's a privilege, but it's also very overwhelming when you have all these options, all these pathways in front of you. But if you are on that journey to 6 figures, we are only going to focus on these 3 things. So this is my freedom formula, the core elements that have made the freedom-based business, the lifestyle business that I've built possible. Number 1, I built an offer suite, a list of services, if you will, but not any list of services. What I have now in my business is a fully loaded, ready to go list of results-based offers. My services, my courses that sell the most are the ones that show transformation and value to my customer. And if I were to start my business from scratch, that would be my first focus. It would be collecting testimonials, getting case studies, and showing the transformation, because that at the end of the day is what people pay for. This is where your offers also start to sell themselves. Like if you are someone who's really struggling with like sales conversations, like you get on a discovery call at the moment and you're kind of like umming and ahhing your way through it and you lack that confidence, number one, don't freak out, because this is something that comes with time, that confidence in selling your services. And sometimes I have to like double take myself when I film like a sales video for someone or like a walkthrough of my course, my digital product. Anyone that applies for the Dishing Up Digital School, if you didn't know, they go through an application process and I personally review their application and then tell them about the Dishing Up Digital School. And sometimes I film these videos and I'm like, hot damn, Ellen. I was like, where did that come from? I was like, you're so good at this. But part of the reason is because I have such solid offers. Like I know exactly what's in here. I know exactly what this customer is going to get. And everybody that applies, I know which part of the program is going to be the most transformative for them based off the application questions. And I can really target and deliver that transformation and put it in front of them and be like, this could be you. There's so many other components here in terms of like making the sales process personalized and really getting to know your audience. But at its heart, my business would not be where it is today without my products, my offer suite, and without having this driven by results, data, testimonials, and case studies. It's the same reason my social media management services took off in the beginning. I used the simple but effective technique of showcasing before and afters. I would take my clients' feed before they started working with me, and then I would showcase it afterwards. And bear in mind, this wasn't even like results. This wasn't like an increase of followers, an increase of reach. It was just the visuals. It was like your brand looked like this, and now it looks like this working with me. Like, who's next? And it sounds so simple, but this is the beauty of results-driven offers. Even get into the nitty-gritty of like how you title, package, and position it, like the list of deliverables. Is it a boring list of deliverables? Or is it a list of the components, the elements of this offer and the impact that it's going to have on this person's business? Even in the title, like I love seeing other service providers that will be like, oh, I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, a copywriter I worked with a while ago, she had a service called the Student Success Engine. Like how exciting is that? Rather than being like, oh, I'm a copywriter and I will work on your sales page and help you write your testimonials. She has this like student success, like the jazzy title. And again, your title isn't what's going to sell the package. Like there's more to it than that. But these juicy offers that show transformation that are backed by results are key. And just like I said, if you're in the early stages of your business, this isn't impossible for you to achieve. For me, those before and afters, the foundation of my business, if you will, that came from working with 2 clients for free for 1 month to get those before and afters. And then I used that as like the launch pad of my business through cold pitching and showcasing that before and after to more people. I recently launched a new mastermind, which I am just so excited about. I'm working with some really, really amazing creators and social media managers and freelancers who are scaling through a hybrid business model like mine. And a lot of them are introducing new digital products. And the beautiful thing about working with them is getting into their offer suite, like getting into the nitty gritty, pulling it apart, pulling the deliverables apart, repackaging these things, because it really is the foundation of everything. Moving on to step number 2, because I feel like I could do a whole episode just talking about your offer suite. But step number 2 of our freedom framework comes down to our content, but not just any old content. We're not just like doing a 30-day posting challenge or posting for the sake of posting. We are creating conversion optimized content. Content, in other words, that sells, that brings in new clients and new leads consistently all the time. So step 1 of the framework, when we were talking about optimizing your offer and having an offer that's results driven, that gives people an idea of what they're buying. The next step of the conversion optimized content gives people a reason why it matters. I personally think conversion content on social media, especially in 2025 with the rise of AI and ChatGPT, which I love, do not get me wrong, I freaking love ChatGPT. But if there's one thing that ChatGPT cannot do for me, and like that's even helped me script this episode, but one thing that it misses is my personal anecdotes and my personal stories. So I will use it to outline a topic, and then I go off on these wild tangents of my own stories. And this is why I'm always like, what's meant to be will be, because I believe I was so made for the role that I have today and the business that I have today is because I was trained in journalism. What is journalism? It's storytelling at the end of the day. Storytelling is the foundation of conversion-based content in 2025. You can weave in these subtle sales techniques. I'm literally been doing it in this episode. If you haven't noticed my Miranda mentions of the Dishing Up Digital School, this is me weaving the sales into my stories, right? And there is a bit of an art to this. Let me know if you guys would like a more in-depth, maybe YouTube vlog of walking you through my content creation process at the moment. But it is also a skill. And just like any skill, if we're learning the guitar, if we're learning the piano, regular podcast listeners will know the answer to this. Content creation is just like that. It is a skill that we can learn, that we can develop, and we can grow. You wouldn't pick up a piano or a guitar. You don't really pick up a piano. You sit down at a piano, you pick up a guitar. You would not pick up a guitar and expect to be incredible the first time you touch it, right? You would go to lessons. You would hire an instructor. You would dedicate lots of time every single day to practice and perfecting your craft. The only difference with social media, of course, is we unfortunately have to practice our craft on a bit of a stage in front of everyone. And, that means the first pieces of content we post might not be perfect. I'm looking at myself who posted her first reel without any audio in it because I didn't know how to add audio. We all go through this process, but the difference between the successful and the unsuccessful entrepreneurs is they are the ones who keep going, who keep practicing and keep perfecting their craft. It's an important reminder here that I have actually been making videos for 10 years. I've been making YouTube videos over 10 years. Oh my God, I'm showing my age. I've been making videos for over 10 years. And yes, the formats and the styles have changed, but that's all helped develop my skills. So if you are struggling with getting leads into your business to help build this six-figure salary that you're working towards, I would take a good hard look at your content. Look at how you can weave in more stories and make sure everything is optimized for conversions. I've actually recorded another episode, which will be coming out shortly, all about booking out your services specifically, where we unpack this a little bit further. And one of the things I say in that video is we need to stop being afraid of selling, of showing up and advertising our services. We need to put ourselves out there without judgment and know that there's potential clients out there just waiting for us. They just haven't heard of our services yet. The third and final element of our freedom framework comes back to systems. And any of my students, anyone who's followed me for a while, probably won't be surprised by this. We have optimized our offer suite. We've worked on our content, and now we need the back-end systems to support all of this, because there's no point creating really great content that's optimized for conversions and then you're getting all these sales coming through and then you're overwhelmed, and that's when you end up working 80 hours a week because you can't handle this influx of new people, or you are doing everything in a super manual way and there's no automated processes in there to speed things up. What I think is key here is we can still keep our systems simple. Simple, high ROI workflows is the vision, is the vibe we are going for. Again, we have things like ChatGPT now, which is the game changer in the world of business. Utilize this, lean on this. But also there's really cool software out there these days that can automate the onboarding process for a client. If we were to take a look at the Dishing Up Digital School, for example, when people sign up for this, they're put into an email sequence which welcomes them into the program. There's welcome videos where I'm speaking to them, showing them how to make the most out of the program and how to attend live classes and where to find everything. And then they get subscribed to an email sequence that actually goes on for the first 2 months that they're in the program. So they'll get little reminders and little check-ins from me. I put in the effort to build that onboarding process once, and now it's done. There is an element here of scalable offers. There might be a few people listening being like, well, that's great, Ellen, when people are buying a mentorship program or a course that's self-study, but what about when I'm doing one-on-one services? What about when I'm doing a template bundle for a client and I actually have to do some of the work? Well, again, there's software here, there's CRM systems that can log a client from the inquiry through to contracts, through to invoices, through to final payments and delivery of the work. Really making sure each offer has a system in place to automate as much as possible and also have a set delivery timeline. I see this mistake made a lot by service providers who are just a bit wishy-washy with their timelines. If you want to scale and you're serious about taking those one-on-one services to the next level, you need to make sure that there's a set routine. So if someone comes in and they have an Instagram makeover service and it's a package of $20 20 Instagram graphics and new highlights and a bio. Like, I want this systemized down to the minute. I want you to know exactly how long each task takes so that you can map it out in your calendar. So when a client books in, maybe there's an automation that sets it up in your calendar. Maybe they automatically get booked into a welcome call, or they get automatically sent an email, which is like, here's everything that we need from you in terms of color palettes, images, preferred fonts, whatever it might be. I'm someone who's been kind of guilty of this with just enjoying manual processes, I'll say. Like, I always kind of say like, oh, like my onboarding process is a little bit manual because like I don't onboard that many social media management clients. And I like the process to be really customized and personal. And that might be true for some of you as well. And if it is a service where, you know, you're only onboarding 1 to 2 people a year, like I do with my social media management services, because it is just one of my revenue streams and I only work with a small amount of clients, then perhaps that isn't the best place to be building out all these fancy systems, because that system only gets used twice a year. But you need to be thinking about what else in your office suite can be systemized. Also, coming back to your content creation, how could we systemize that? How can we get some funnels going in the background so we're building our email list? And again, if this feels overwhelming, you can start small. You can pick one project to work on and build from there. Like, my first lead magnet and email sequence was so simple. It was a very small 5-page PDF, which has now been built out into a 20-page PDF. It also actually, originally it had no email sequence. So I just launched the freebie and was collecting emails. And then I was like, oh damn, I guess I better email these people and do something. So then I built like a 5-day email sequence. And then eventually over time that turned into a 20-day email sequence. And then that then led to another funnel, which had another 20-day email sequence. So you can build on this and you can start small, but the point is you're putting your time and your energy into the right place. You're focusing on these 3 things from this framework: the offer suite, the content creation, or the conversion optimized content, I should say, and then your systems and your processes. For some of you, that might look like hiring a new person to help with the systems and the automations in the back end. For some of you, it might mean hiring a videographer. It's about where your weaknesses are in this 3-part framework where you could outsource and get help. I do think that's an element of scaling to 6 figures. I didn't hit 6 figures in like a calendar year until I had at least one contractor. It might have been 2 contractors working with me by that point. And I also wanted to bring this up because it is a key part of this idea of a freedom-based business. If I need to take a chunk of my profit and give that to someone else in exchange for some time back, in exchange for a weight off my shoulders, then that is money well spent in my mind. And I've just recorded an episode which should be coming out. I might drop it tomorrow. Should I put up a little bonus episode tomorrow? Should I do it? Message me on Instagram if you want to hear this episode. But I filmed an episode on how your inner broke girl is holding you back. And this is a prime example of that. When you want to hire someone, when you know you need to hire someone, but you don't think you can afford it, or you don't like the idea of reducing your profit. And I just want to say, it might reduce your profit in the short term. In the long term, it's going to create more profit because it's going to give you back time and energy in your business. I'm feeling like we should do an episode in the future or sometime soon on outsourcing and how to find your perfect contractor. I have a lesson on this in the Dishing Up Digital School for any of my students listening. It's one of my favorite lessons in the program. So go check it out. It's like 40 minutes long. And I felt like I could be a lot more open about, let's just say, some of my lessons and missteps because it's in the privacy of like the course. But I might take a look at it and see if there's any sort of snippets, any lessons from that we could draw and bring over to the podcast. Let's quickly touch on some of the things you need to stop doing in order to scale to 6 figures. No more over-delivering. If that is over-delivering beyond the terms of your contract, if that is over-delivering for free in the DMs, coaching people, I always fall into this trap. Like, I just love chatting to people, and then I realize I've given them like a free coaching session in my DM. So I had to put a very strict parameter or a strict boundary on that a couple of years ago. And it might be even why some of you guys listening to the podcast, you might get that message from me some days where I'm like, sorry, I unfortunately can't do any free coaching in the DMs because that's unfair to my paying clients. And that's literally how I enforce that boundary. At the end of the day, it comes down to you. You've got to enforce it. I'm also the person who just wants to make my clients happy and will do anything to make them happy. And unfortunately, that does tend to over-delivering and going above and beyond the set deliverables. And I've really had to call myself out on that. That is not how we scale a business, okay? Okay, I know we want to make our clients happy, but we can make them happy by sticking to the parameters and deliverables in a contract. The next thing I want you to stop doing is reinventing your offers. If you have an offer that you've sold, that you've had positive feedback from, double down on that. Don't try and reinvent the wheel and come up with a jazzy new name and new deliverables and something new. Like, this is the classic problem we have as entrepreneurs, unfortunately. The shiny object syndrome is real, and we just want to keep making new things. Come back to your core offers, come back to the results-driven offers, and double down on that. And finally, the other thing you need to stop doing on your journey to 6 figures is comparing yourself. This is a totally natural human thing. I do it too. I am guilty of this. But especially when we're comparing ourselves to other creators, other coaches, other freelancers on Instagram and social media. I love income transparency. I love people sharing their goals, their milestones, celebrating their wins. But at the same time, you've got to be careful. You've got to protect your space. I highly encourage you to use the mute function on Instagram if you need it. You can follow people and get inspiration from them, but as soon as you start to compare yourself to them, that is when I hit the mute. And I'm like, okay, I love your content, but I'm going to come back to you at another time when I'm not feeling that need to compare myself. This is also where advice on the internet gets really overwhelming. If you're following all these people and like jumping through hoops trying to like do everything that they say and comparing your business to their business, it's just like a recipe for disaster. And the last thing I have to mention is a biggie. This is something I've been talking about a lot on my Instagram stories, and I've had so many people respond whenever I bring this topic up. I know it resonates with a lot of people, but that is putting your business first. I want this episode to give you permission to be selfish. We are no longer putting our business on the back burner. We're not leaving our content to last and spending all day on our clients. That is not where the growth happens. First thing in the morning, every single day, I do something for my marketing and my business. My clients' emails can wait an hour. My students' questions and comments in my course can wait an hour. The priority is me. That's what's going to feed into the growth of my business. And trust me when I say it's not the end of the world if an email sits there for an hour longer. So that is going to be the end of the first episode back of the Dishing Up Digital podcast. I would love it if you guys can leave a review. Make sure you're following on either Apple, Spotify, or here on YouTube. I am also running a very, very cool giveaway to celebrate the relaunch of the podcast. So if you want to know more about that, head over to my Instagram. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next episode. Bye.